So what I'm about to teach you are strategies that you as a veteran can simply use to build and create wealth by having multiple VA loans at the same time. So in the scenario that I'm about to give you, let's say that a veteran purchased a home back in 2020 for $300,000. Okay, veteran has now lived in the home for, 5 years, right? They've leveled up, they've got a promotion at work, they're doing great things in the marketplace, maybe they've had some kiddos, right? Now they want to buy a home, bigger square footage, kids need room, right? Maybe a better school district, house with the pool, right? You can do that. You're like, well, damn, Jimmy, I don't have a 20% down payment to buy another home. It's like, you don't need that. Well, I can't use another VA loan because I have an existing VA loan on my house. Not true. People tell veterans this nonsense all the time, but you just have to understand this framework. So let's say that you bought that home with the VA loan. We'll call this home A. Did you know that you have remaining eligibility left over to buy that new home? More desirable location, house with the pool, bigger square footage, whatever the case may be. Yes, you can actually do it to 506 500. Now remember, this is based off of conforming loan limits for 2025. You guys will hear from me in 2026 and I'll update this information again so that way you can have it. But you see what I did here, right? So if you use 300,000 on the first home, you simply deduct that from the conforming loan limit of 806 500. And that has you left over with approximately 506 500 that you can utilize to go buy another home VA loan with no money down. Isn't that cool? Like, people don't talk about this stuff, right? And now, let's say that you had that rate on the first home. You're like, dude, I've got this amazing rate, right, at 2.25% because I took advantage of it during the pandemic. I don't want to sell that home. I don't blame you, right? Because you've got an amazing below market, like sexy rate on there. So what should you do? I were in your shoes. I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd rent out that home, right? I'd put a renter in there and I would allow somebody else to pay my mortgage and pay down the balance of this home. You're having somebody else help you build wealth. That's what I'm talking about. I need a sip of water here, you guys. Give me just a second here. All right, so back to the video. You're having somebody else pay this mortgage for you, and really quick, if you want to know if your VA loan ready for a second VA loan, I'll make a link in the description. Roger that. All right, so let's paint what I'd like to call a high-class problem, all right? High-class problems are good things because it allows us to come up with solutions. I like solutions, right? So let's say you go, Jimmy, dude, I love this idea, right? But I really wanted to buy a home that was greater than that. Do I have to come up with like the entire difference between these two scenarios? Let's look at it together. Let's say you wanted to buy a home for 606 500, all right? You can see here, that's a delta of approximately 100K. Now, here's what's really cool about VA loans, right? The VA does not have, like I mentioned earlier, that maximum loan amount. They just have a maximum guarantee amount, and they need to ensure, right? Or I should say the lender needs to ensure that your loan is guaranteed by 25% if they're going to make it. So the VA is going to kick in their portion and you as the veteran are going to kick in the remainder. So we remember, right? 100K difference between the two scenarios. Watch what happens next. We take that 100K, right? There we go. 100K, we multiply it by 25%, right? And if we're doing math here, I intentionally did this easy, right? Math for Marines, right? We come up with $25,000 for the down payment, right? That's all you need to come up with to fulfill the remaining guarantee of 25% on the VA loan. Isn't that cool? Like I said, nobody talks about this stuff with VA loans. Like call center type loan officers, they're like, huh? What are you talking about? Does that work? Or some, real estate agent who just got out of real estate school has a veteran like, well, somebody in my brokerage class told me that I shouldn't use a VA loan because they take long. Get out of here with that stuff, right? This is the power of the VA Home Loan Benefit Unlock. Like I said, if you want to find out if your VA loan ready, I'll make a link in the description below. Questions, comment down below, and I personally will make sure that they get answered. So let's play with this a couple of more times here, right? Let's say that you're like, dude, Jimmy, I love this idea, right? Now I've got 2 VA loans at the same time. How many times can I do this? Good question, right? If you refinanced this home into a conventional loan, you would free up that $300,000 worth of VA loan balance, right? By moving it into, once again, a conventional loan, right? And you could use that towards the next purchase. Now remember, you have to live in the property that you're purchasing. You can't buy an investment property with the VA loan, but if you live in home A, right here, for as little as 12 months, you can go out and you can put a renter in that home and then rinse, repeat. Now here's the part that a lot of mortgage loan originators that do know this information won't tell you. If you are going to put it into a conventional loan, you gotta have the equity to be able to do so. And I'm not a huge fan of replacing this VA loan with, a 7% interest rate. That's just dumb, right? So I would kind of advise my clients that it would make a hell of a lot more sense to keep that VA loan. And if you want to use unlimited VA loans, wait a second, Jimmy, did you just say unlimited VA loans? That's exactly what I said. And here's the way that you do it. Okay, you can actually have as many VA loans as you want, right? But what did I say earlier? You have to come up with the 25% guarantee on the loan by yourself, right? So you can do 10 VA loans if you want, but every time, if you've exhausted your VA loan entitlement, you've got to come up with a 25% down payment. So how do you do that, right? Well, you could obviously save for it, right? That's the first part. You could perhaps consider doing a cash out refinance on your existing VA loan, pulling that equity out to be able to rinse and repeat moving forward into the future. So these are some ideas. These are strategies. Hopefully you had some fun learning with me today. Did you know that it's okay to have fun while you're learning? In fact, it even increases retention, right? But these are just some ideas. And like I said earlier, if you want to reserve a time to speak with me, I'll make a link in the description. You can also find out if you are VA loan ready. So my name is Jimmy V. We'll talk to you soon. Like I said, questions, comment down below. Thanks for watching.